Born in chaos, called for purpose. A journey from pain and poverty to faith and redemption. René was the third child in his family. His father was a well-known mechanic, respected for his skill and dedication. Big companies often hired him because he was excellent at fixing machines that others could not repair. Because of his father's work, the family once lived comfortably. But behind the walls of their house, life was far from peaceful. René's mother had grown up in a carnival community where she worked as a singer in a game booth. The carnival life was full of noise, excitement, and constant travel from one town to another. Even after she got married, she still longed for that lifestyle. She loved gambling and the thrill of being around people. As a result, she often left home for days. René's father was also rarely around. His work required him to travel, and he usually returned home only on weekends. This meant that most of the time, René and his siblings were left alone. René's two older brothers lived carefree lives. They spent their time with friends, drinking and experimenting with drugs. They rarely helped at home. So, even as a small child, René carried responsibilities far beyond his age. By the time he was 5 years old, René already knew how to do most household chores. He washed his clothes in the creek behind their house and cleaned the small wooden home where they lived. While other children played outside, René was learning how to survive. Whenever his parents came home, the house became loud and chaotic. His mother often gave money to visiting relatives, while his father spent time drinking with friends. Arguments between his parents were frequent and intense. Sometimes their fights happened in the street, where neighbors could see them shouting at each other. The house that should have been a safe place for children became a place of fear and noise. Then Monday would arrive again, and both parents would leave for their separate lives, leaving the children behind. When René was 7 years old, his mother gave birth to another child. The next year, another baby arrived, then another. One child came after another until there were additional 5 children in the family. René's father believed that if his wife had enough children to care for, she would stay home and become a responsible mother. But nothing changed. Instead, René became the one who cared for the younger children. While his older brothers continued living recklessly, René carried the burden of feeding and protecting his siblings. Food was often scarce. Many days there was nothing in the kitchen. So René began gathering firewood from nearby trees and selling it to neighbors so he could buy rice. When he needed to leave the house, he sometimes tied the youngest baby's leg to a wooden post on the floor to keep the child from crawling outside and getting hurt. The cries of hungry babies were the hardest to endure. With no milk to give them, René sometimes placed his thumb in his mouth just to comfort them. The only thing they had to drink was water from the deep well. The weight of responsibility became too heavy for a young boy. One day, René ran away. He quietly boarded a bus filled with adults so the driver would not question him about a ticket. The bus carried him to Cebu City, where one of his aunts lived. But after a few weeks, his mother came looking for him and brought him back home. The suffering continued. Many neighbors saw his hardship and sometimes offered food or small amounts of money. René ran away again, this time to another aunt in a nearby city. He stayed there for several months and continued attending school. But once again, his mother found him and returned him to the same difficult life. Despite everything, René refused to give up on education. In high school, he attended a private school as an academic scholar. His intelligence earned him free tuition, but he still had to find ways to pay for school supplies and projects. To survive, René helped classmates with their assignments and projects in exchange for the materials he needed. Some classmates who knew his situation even shared food with him. Every day he walked 10 kilometers or 6 miles to school and another 10 kilometers or 6 miles back home. When he arrived home, there was often no food waiting, so he gathered firewood again and sold it. Then tragedy struck.
Because of severe malnutrition, the youngest child in the family died. The loss deeply affected their mother. For a while, she stayed home more often after giving birth again, but her habits never completely changed. She began inviting gamblers into their house to play cards and mahjong. Their home slowly became a place filled with noise, smoke, and gambling. Still, René continued studying. Even when his mother spent money helping cousins instead of supporting him, he did not complain. He simply kept moving forward. Meanwhile, his father found a mistress in another town and rarely came home. Perhaps he was discouraged by everything: the chaos in the house, the money that disappeared, and the endless fighting. Eventually, René entered college and was accepted into a prestigious university as a full scholar in mechanical engineering. It was the only school in the city that offered the course. But the program required expensive equipment and materials. He could not even afford an ROTC uniform, so he borrowed one from a cousin who was in the army. But he was shorter than him. The uniform barely fit, but he wore it anyway. Embarrassment could not stop him from pursuing his dream. To help himself survive, René joined a student activist group that sometimes provided food and a place to sleep. Because of his leadership abilities, he quickly became the group's leader. But the financial demands of mechanical engineering became impossible to sustain. Eventually, he transferred to another university and shifted to political science, a course he could afford. There, he became a student government leader. When the school increased tuition fees unfairly and teachers complained about low salaries, René organized a student strike. The protest gained strong support from both students and teachers. Classes stopped for an entire month. The school filed charges against René and his group. They were suspended and brought to court. In the end, they won the case, and the school was ordered to compensate them. Instead of keeping the money, René and his group donated it to the school library. However, the university declared René persona non grata, forcing him to leave school. Soon after, he entered the workforce and eventually became a branch manager of a large company.
For the first time, life seemed stable. Then he met a woman he believed would be his life partner. They lived together for 7 years, hoping to start a family. One day, she told him she was pregnant, but he found out the child was not his. The betrayal shattered René's heart. Broken and searching for peace, he returned to his hometown and considered becoming a priest. After years of struggle, he longed for a quiet life devoted to God. But life had another plan. He met a gentle and kind young woman whose faith inspired him. With patience and sincerity, he eventually won her heart. They married, and with her support, René returned to school, finishing his degree in political science and later earning a master's degree in public administration. Years later, during a moment of deep reflection, René experienced something he could not explain. In a vision, he saw a hand from the sky reaching over him. He cried like never before. In that moment, he released the anger he had carried toward his parents for many years. He realized that his painful past had shaped him for a greater purpose. René chose to dedicate his life to serving God as a full-time pastor. Many people questioned his decision, wondering why he would leave a successful career. But for René, the peace he found in serving God was worth more than any wealth. After 18 years of marriage without children, God blessed René and his wife with 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. For the boy who once struggled to feed his siblings, it felt like a miracle. René's life became proof that even the darkest childhood can lead to a future filled with hope, purpose, and grace. From a house filled with chaos to a life filled with grace, René finally understood his suffering was never the end of his story, it was the beginning of God's plan.
This story is not fiction. It is drawn from real events and real lives. The people behind this story are still living today. To respect their privacy, the names and places have been changed. But what happened truly happened.